Yo, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Don't you miss a moment.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour live here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Tsutsuti, along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What's up?
And the Broken One himself, Rob Povia.
The big man told me, don't go out there in the beginning. Don't go out there in the middle. We're going to do this right at the end of the show. And I said, big man, I can't wait.
I like it. I dig
in
it.
honor of Ric Flair, 72, and still going down on the ladies.
Space Mountain is still open for business, everyone.
Whoa.
Tried, longest line.
Whoa.
Oh, all right. Should ask Chrome all about it. He's unfortunately seen it. What?
I'm just gonna keep to myself on that one.
Oh, anyway.
What's up, Jake?
Right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hockey Happy Hour once again, right here on A2DRadio.com. And tonight we are going to talk about the off-season of the Flyers right now. We can pretty much just judge it and gauge it for the most part and see if there are any major updates. There haven't been, so things are going to be a little light today on the show because, well, we are in the dog days of the off-season, albeit though a lot shorter than normal. But we are there, so this should be an interesting show. Let's see how far we get before we run out of shit to talk about.
Before we get started there, Matty, though, we got a major announcement here tonight. Tonight will be our final show here on Thursday night. Starting next week, we are moving to Tuesday nights. For right now, we're going to take the 8 o'clock time slot while there's an opening due to lack of lazy booking. But as soon as lazy booking comes back, and it will, don't you worry, lazy booking will be back. We'll figure out the time slot from there, but we are definitely moving to Tuesdays starting next week. So I'm excited for that. Should give us a little bit more opportunity to talk a little hockey, get a little more opportunities to do a little bit more live reactions, whether it's with the Flyers or not. So hopefully it'll give us some more opportunities here to get some more growth behind the show. And, you know, it's where it all started for us. We got the original 3 from the show, and it kind of makes sense to go back to the original day that the show started. So, like I said, starting next week at 8 o'clock, it's going to be the new time slot for the Hockey Happy Hour.
Yeah, so starting next week, folks. So mark it down on your calendars, set the reminders, set an alarm if you have to. Do whatever it takes. Be sure to be there on Tuesday nights at 8. All right, so today's show, as always, brought to you by Body Check Wellness, created by former Philadelphia Flyers and Phantoms enforcer Riley Cote. Body Check Wellness is a line of product that uses hemp, and they also have THC-free products as well. Their whole thing is to promote focus and clarity and balance in your life, whether that's getting good on the diet or getting into a workout routine or just focusing in on work that you need to get done or finding that balance in life of just being healthy mentally, really, at the end of the day, because life is crazy. It will spin you around 180 half the time. And once you get done, you're like, holy shit, I got like 50,000 things I got to do. How the hell am I supposed to get all this done? And that's just 1 week. So at the end of the day, Body Check Wellness, products that can definitely help with that one. Rob can tell you all about how much they've helped him out in his productivity and such like that. And if you use the A2D code you see at the bottom of your screen, you get 25% off of your order. So trust me, guys, it's absolutely worth checking out Body Check Wellness.
What was that? No.
Yeah.
I need more focus and clarity.
I need some focus
And
clarity.
some is better than none, right? Just a little bit. But
I'm saying I don't have any. I need some.
Well, let's see if we can try and focus in on this poll question, which is brought to you by one of our newer sponsors, Ocean City Grilled Cheese and Quesadilla Company, located at the corner of 8th and Ocean Ave. They have 16 different kinds of grilled cheese on toasty Texas sourdough bread, and you can use the A2D code for 10% off of your order. That sounds pretty good right there. And
No, I'm just saying, like, that place is straight fire. It's straight fire. I'm just saying, if you're in OC, get over there and get yourself some grilled cheese. That place is amazing.
Yeah. And today's question they are sponsoring is: the shortened off seasons were difficult for the Flyers. Agree or disagree? Gentlemen, what's your opinion on these last two shortened off seasons for Philly?
Rob, you can go ahead and go first there, brother.
Well, I mean, it's certainly had an effect. I mean, less practice time for a younger team equals poor results on the ice, and we saw that. So I do agree with the poll, but, you know, rule number 76, man, no excuses. Play like a champion. Everybody was in the same boat. You know, you got to rise above, and they did not. Let's see if with a little bit more time for this upcoming, season, they'll be able to get their act together and be able to hit the ice with that 60-minute quality efforts that we just did not see last season.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, for certain players, this could be a downfall. This could hurt them a little bit. Guys specifically like Kevin Hayes, who just had sports hernia surgery, but it could be a great thing for the Flyers, though. So I'm gonna. How do I want to say this? I really do think it's going to be a good thing in the long run. Gives them shorter time for that stuff to kind of eat at them. An ability to get them back on the ice quicker, to work on some of those fundamentals, to start gaining some chemistry with some of the newer guys on the roster, like Ryan Ellis and Keith Yandel and all them guys. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. Gets them right back on the ice in a shortened off season, and I don't think it's necessarily difficult. I think it's going to, again, I think it's going to have a benefit. So yeah.
Yeah, all right then. So for me, my answer would be I would say agree. I think it had an effect on the Flyers, and it definitely was difficult for them. I think it was difficult not only for the players, but also for the organization, which is why I feel like we found ourselves in a position of there was no replacement for Matt Niskanen going into this offseason. There were some attempts here and there, but ultimately the shortened offseason didn't help anything. On top of that as well, this offseason, while it was much better for Fletcher, I think just goes to show one offseason that's not even really 2 months long is enough to really hurt you and really make it almost impossible for you to work anything out. This one's a little bit longer. I mean, I would say that it's definitely a good rebound for the Flyers after a rough year in terms of off seasons. But yeah, shortened ones, they can be very difficult for them, obviously. And I think that it will continue to be a difficult thing if this happens again. So best in hope and prayers that this doesn't happen again moving forward. But gentlemen, we were going to jump into more off-season stuff for the Flyers, but we do have something going on. Before that, though, we got Jake throwing out the cheers. What's up, Jake? Joey going, woo! What's up, Joey? And we got John Malmos chiming in. What's up, boys? What's up, John? Hopefully everything's going good. Got Prism saying, what's up, boys? Sorry I'm late. You're not late, brother.
Bro, you're always late.
Yeah.
You're always late. Last couple weeks. What's going on? What's going on?
Was picking up carts in my boy's car. Key broke at the gas pump. And then he went on to say, I had to go to Home Depot for a copy to get made.
It's always something with you, Pris. Always something.
Joey also now says, now I need a grilled cheese and beer.
Well, you know where to go.
Yeah.
Think about it this way, Joey. You got what? Hour and a half, 2 hours maybe? If I want to get to that place, I got to drive 8.5. And I ain't driving in this. It's storming outside right now.
Is it? Yeah, we had a pretty bad storm here this morning, late last night, depending on your perspective.
Yeah, we're supposed to. It's been real muggy and it's getting pretty nasty. Storms down here tend to be a little bit more aggressive, to say the least. So
Carolina Hurricanes. There's a reason, babe.
Yeah.
ooh, it's been rough. What's up, Tyler? What's up, DB? See you guys in the YouTube chat.
John saying, "What's up, A2D friends and family? Brian Daly, I know you can dig my possible playoff beard. Hashtag Ryan Ellis style. Nice,
Bro, I would love to be able. I can't. Like, this would get nice and full, and it could get turned into a real nice play. I can't let my beard get that long. I don't know how you do it, John. I don't know how you do it. It gets so itchy after a while. Like, and then food gets caught in it, and then I feel like I'm gross. I just can't do it. I can't do it. More
You gotta
power.
style it out so it's less off your face.
Get the
Hanging.
goatee
More
going.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah, more
Well, and
power
even
to
if it
the
was
guy
a
who
full
can do it.
beard or whatever, you shape it to grow out to where it's really less surface. Yeah, that's one thing I'm learning. I've gotten into like a stalled period. It won't get any longer than this. Damn you, man. Where did my testosterone go?
Talk to Frank Thomas. I'm sure he can help you out with that.
John does have a question though. Who was the last coach that could get this team to play full 60 minutes? Ironically enough, I think it was Lavi. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think AV has the potential to do it, though. So I would say Lavi would be my guess on that one.
Yeah, no, I think Lavi's a good one. I think there's definitely been some really good 60-minute efforts under AV. There was a couple under Berube, and it's just a matter of consistency. I think Lavi got a more consistent 60 minutes out of those guys, but I think they've been very inconsistent in the 60-minute efforts with everybody after. I also think a lot of that has to do with the leadership on the ice as well. So hopefully we can get some better effort out of some of the newer guys that have entered the locker room.
Yeah, true. Now, let's see here. Got Tom chiming in, dudes. What's up, Tom?
Tommy.
And DB, what's up, brother? Saying we talking possible Coyotes relocation destination. As a matter of fact, that was exactly what we were going to get into since that broke literally right before we went on the air. And I'm so mad because, of course, that breaks right before we go live. Not yesterday when I was putting the fucking email together. It's like, God damn it, that would have made the job a hell of a lot easier. Sitting there thinking, like, well, what the hell are we going to talk about? We got nothing to talk about today. Well, now we do. At least could have done it yesterday. But anyway, all right, so the Arizona Coyotes, officially the Gila River Arena has pretty much said your lease is done after this season. So, yeah. Is this officially the end of the Arizona Coyotes? Because it's been very tumultuous for this franchise. I mean, hell, there was a time period when it was the jobbing.com arena and they didn't want them there anyway. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of sad, but this was going to happen, and now it has. So, guys, what are you thinking? Do you think this is the end of the Coyotes and moving on to a new location, maybe even a team name change? What are we looking at here? What are you thinking?
I don't even know what to think.
Well, I mean, the upper brass, I said they're going to make every effort to stay in Arizona and even still continue to work with the Gill River Arena people there. But it seems like there's some bad blood. Not only have they been going year to year with their lease, but there's been some unpaid bills as well. You know, some money discrepancies or what have you, which often breaks relationships. But it's just going to be based on, can they find another arena, you know, in the greater Arizona area that can house them. I think options are going to be limited. So, I mean, right away, my first reaction is, you know, all right, we're finally going to get another team in Canada. You know, will it be the Quebec Nordiques who put in for expansion recently along with Seattle? Or could it be a team like Hamilton that's been clamoring for hockey for a long-ass time to have that Toronto-Hamilton rivalry really fire up, which could be really great for the league. It'd be, you know, reminiscent of Rangers-Islanders, Flyers-Pens, they're literally not that far apart, you know, in miles. So I don't know. I mean, I respect trying to stay in Arizona, but it could be an opportunity for the league, because let's face it, was hockey a big draw in Arizona? Is that a big reason why the Gila River people didn't want to make more of an effort to keep them?
I mean, that's a good talk to have, because I mean, Arizona, when they first came in to the league, when they first moved from Winnipeg and went down to Phoenix, at the time when they were called the Phoenix Coyotes, they had a pretty decent team. Of course, a lot of that was built from the Jets days, and then they went and got guys like Rick Tocchet and Jeremy Roenick. They had Nikolai Khabibulin in net and such like that. Team wasn't bad. It was good enough to make the playoffs, but they weren't going to be doing anything in the playoffs. That was during the era where if you drew Detroit and Colorado, you might as well just forfeit because you're not getting by them. But in Dallas too. And that's usually what happened to them. They usually became mincemeat in the first round. And then eventually that team petered out, players left, and then the team just fell into last place and stayed there for a long time. And they only had one last period of relevancy, and that was when they won their division in 2012, had their most successful playoff run where they got stomped in the Western Conference Finals by the Kings. So that's pretty much the prominent history of the Coyotes, mixed in with a total sea of brown-colored shit, basically, for that entire franchise. It's been a shit show for a long time over there.
Yeah, so just a couple things from the article that Rob sent in the Twitter group chat with that we have a Priz from Sportsnet. A couple things here. For the last several years, they've been on a year-by-year lease agreement, so they couldn't even come up with anything long-term. So that's kind of questionable, number one there, and I know a lot of that has to do with the fact they've essentially been owned by the NHL. Can't seem to lock down the long-term deal to keep them there. So that's a big thing. And then the other thing was, the decision comes after stalled negotiations between the city and the team over a lease extension and potential renovations to the arena. But they've gotten multiple notices of unpaid bills by the team to the city. So, I mean, that's crazy to me that this team is having so many issues with paying their bills. Like, I get they're not making a ton of revenue, but, that's what happens when you don't put a good product out on the ice. Mm-hmm. People aren't going to come out and, pay to see this team.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is also a franchise that's been very poor at developing homegrown talent. It's amazing that Shane Doan stuck around and stayed loyal to this organization instead of going out and go to a team that was probably going to have a better chance of getting him a cup, and he chose to stay with them. I'm still stunned that he did that, which props to him for that kind of loyalty for an organization that has given him nothing but misery. And that's kind of what the Coyotes have done. They've given nothing but misery to anyone who wanted to follow the team or get into the team. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. Besides a couple of cool jerseys, this team has really not amounted to anything in the league. And they've only ever just been a punching bag and been sitting in the basement, just feasting on the rats. They haven't really been enjoying any major success, for a long period of time.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Sam Squatch Bigfoot. Noticed him in the chat for the first time. Welcome to the show, brother. So says Quebec Nordiques, if Hamilton ever got an NHL franchise, then Toronto would want one too. So I just want to give him a special shout out for first time in the chat.
What's going on, man?
But I could definitely see them definitely not moving back to Atlanta like Priz and Joey seem to be saying in the chat too. I think that would be kind of silly, but I could definitely see them maybe moving back to a city like Quebec or even Hamilton, and because that's going to be two major cities that's going to have that revenue that's going to be able to, not only be able to put a good product out on the ice, but like Winnipeg, even when they're not playing well, they still sell out that arena. So they're going to be able to make some money there versus where they're not making any money in Arizona to the point where they're not even able to pay their bills.
True. So then the question would be, if they do that, if they move a team from Arizona to Quebec, then the question is, okay, realignment, who do they take out of the East to put over to the West? Which then you would have to think, okay, well, the two candidates that would most likely be in would either be Columbus or Detroit. And Detroit yeah,
Sorry,
Detroit. I know, man. I know, allergies. They're some bitch. But that pollen count must be pretty high up there. But but I'll say this, though.
A lot of weeds, Manny. A lot of weeds.
But I'll say, though, I think out of the two, Detroit wanted to move to the East, so I guess they would move Columbus back, which would be weird because Detroit is
Nashville.
Yeah. Well, no, Nashville's already in the West.
Put Nashville in the East. Hold on. Hear me out. Put Nashville in the East. Take one of those two teams, preferably Detroit, moving back to the West. And then you get some of those great rivalries back from the old days. Detroit, Colorado, Detroit and St. Louis, Detroit and Chicago. Some of those major rivalries, some of those that go back even further than, the 1970s. True. And we got Dynasty 215 chiming back in saying, just move Detroit back. Should have never moved in the first place. John saying, take Detroit out. Scott Brian Daly is agreeing. DB, last time the Yotes were truly competitive was 2012 when they ran into my Kings. That was the last time they had a really good season. They even won the division that year. And they got to the Western Conference Finals. No one saw that coming either. No one. You could have told me right now, when that playoff began, if you had told me the Western Conference Final was going to be the LA Kings and the Coyotes with the teams that were on that side of the bracket, I would have said you were fucking high. And shockingly enough, nope. Those were the two teams. I was like, shit, I need some of that. They'll make my predictions right. And let's see. John saying move them to Quebec. I missed that organization up there. He also says Mustangs. Oh, for a team name? That would be an interesting name. That wouldn't be a bad name either, honestly. Have a team called the Mustangs? That's not a bad name, honestly. If you move a team to a city that's unfamiliar with hockey. Let's see.
Yeah, great name for a hockey team. Poor name for a vehicle.
Wow, did you know?
Sorry, I'm Chevy, man. Sorry.
Listen. Did you know they make Chevy or Mustang crossovers now?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They make Chevy or Mustangs now have a crossover. Lamborghinis now have a crossover. Porsche has a crossover. What a world we live in.
No, he wants the Hamilton Mustangs. I see where he's going with this. Young, I see what you did there. Okay, got it. All right. But you know what? I'm not.
So I didn't want to presume.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hey, I'm not against it. I am totally not against that.
I'm all for it. I do like maybe if you do decide to go to Hamilton, maybe you go back and do what they did with the AHL team. Maybe call them the Bulldogs, because that was a pretty sweet jersey when they were the affiliate for the Canadians.
Yeah, they won the Calder Cup too, I believe, once or twice out there in Hamilton. So, too bad that didn't result in a Canadians Cup, right? We know that pain. The Phantoms won 2 Calder Cups. Did we see a cup out of that? Fuck no, we didn't. Anyway, all right. Thank you, Nitamaki. Anyway, so
Sure, blame the goaltender.
I know. Typical Flyers fan. John saying, I have that jersey. Oh, you do? Nice. Badass. But
I don't have any of my jerseys down here. All my jerseys are still up there.
You got to get those. Put them on your wall.
I don't know how I'm going to get them down here because I'm not making that drive again. That drive sucks.
Just have.
Oh, that's not too bad. In Florida, it's a lot worse.
Florida is a lot worse, but you know what? It's going through Virginia and DC, man. It was
for sure.
Brutal.
The traffic in the Panhandle blows. Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta take country roads. Yeah,
I'm just gonna fly. I was just gonna fly, dude. I would rather take a 55-minute flight versus sitting in a car for 8.5 hours.
Truth be told.
And I left at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I got through Virginia. I was probably in Virginia about 11 or 12, so I missed that traffic, and I still took me almost 8.5 hours to get down here. Nope.
I will say
never making that drive again unless I absolutely have to.
How about this? How about you Venmo money to your fam or what have you, and then they take that money, use it to ship your jerseys down to you.
That's not a bad idea.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
John saying
John
that
gets what I'm
drive.
saying.
Yeah, that drive sucks. I have done the Poconos to West Palm multiple times.
Ooh.
Woo! That's a good distance right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's not an easy drive.
And Sam Squash saying Hamilton Bulldogs are my mom's favorite OHL team. Interesting.
That's awesome.
Interesting. So, yeah, maybe they will come back. So, gentlemen.
Sam Squatch, question for you. Just name me a couple of the prospects that's come out of from the Hamilton Bulldogs, because I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of who's come out of Hamilton that's really making a pretty big effect in the NHL right now.
Also, Sam Squatch, if you want to, feel free to throw out your fandom. What teams do you root for in the NHL?
Also, hit that like and subscribe and never miss our show.
Absolutely. Okay, so what about this, guys? Out of the locations you'd like to see, if this team does have to relocate, if this holds up and Gila just says, no, we're sticking to our guns, you guys aren't getting your lease renewed even for another year, where would you like to see the team move to? I know we talked about a few locations here and there, but give me 5. You know, like you kind of like your top 5. Doesn't have to be in any particular order, no ranking, no nothing. And, would you keep the name or would you change the name?
I got a couple off the top of my head. Obviously, number 1 would be Quebec. I think somewhere else in the New England area would be good. Maybe you put a team in Maine. Obviously, Hartford is another one that I know a lot of people would like to see a team back in Hartford. I know one guy in particular. How's it go? There we go. Where else?
Yes, he did. That's a good call.
Oh,
I was going to say.
Yes. Trying to think of some really good like sports cities. A lot of teams in California have had success, but where do you go? Where else do you go?
You got Anaheim.
One.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to get you down that one.
I just said I got a good one, but I'm gonna let you all go first. See if you say it.
All right. I was gonna say because you already have LA, so you got the main market, which was obvious, and then Anaheim, and you've got the Bay Area with San Jose. Do you put another team up there to be an instant cross, town rival, if you will, for San Jose up there?
Sort of where my headspace is around. I was thinking potentially San Francisco, and maybe even keep the name San Francisco Coyotes. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that. San Fran would definitely be a good one. It's a decent market for especially when the teams are playing well.
Right, and to Maddie's point, to build up a rivalry, in an area where a team kind of just languishes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you don't really have to worry about really, having to redo the alignment either, because I believe Arizona's still in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So then you just move them to San Francisco, and you don't really have to do anything. The alignment's already there. You don't have to adjust any of the divisions, anything like that. You just. But I'm trying to think maybe somewhere else in Michigan, maybe another team in Minnesota.
That'd be interesting. 2 teams in Minnesota.
I mean, because you already have a team in St. Paul with the Wild, because that's where they play. They play in St. Paul. Maybe find another place in Minnesota, maybe Manitoba, or maybe you go to the other side of the Twin Cities and go to Minneapolis, put a team there. You could always go to North Dakota, too. North Dakota has a pretty good hockey following already.
They do. The university always has big pull over there when they are in the Frozen Four and such. Let's see. John saying stay away from warm weather areas. How about Montana? I don't know if there's enough people that live in Montana to support a hockey team, honestly.
Yeah, true. Gotta think about that too. That could be a concern with Dakota, but that was actually what popped in my head there. The Dakota Coyotes. That would be kind of badass. That would be really badass, and it'd be good. You know, I mean, they'd have a lot of teams not too far away for traveling wise, or what have you. You know, both in Michigan, Chicago. You know what I mean? So, Ohio. But yeah, I would say Dakota, north or south. You know what I mean? Just kind of loop them together. San Fran 4, Quebec 3, the Whale 2, and Hamilton 1. I'd really like to see that Hamilton-Toronto series because it's vicious and it's untapped.
Yeah.
Now,
who was it? Yeah, Sam Squatch brought up a good one. I think Houston could be a good city for that as well. That's another really good sports town.
And they did have the Houston Aeros that drew very well because they had Gordie Howe during the days in the WHA along with Mark and I forget his brother's name. But they
already have NBA arena down there, so maybe you just kind of convert the NBA arena into that dual arena like the Wells Fargo up in Philly and you do both out of the same arena.
Fun fact too.
I like that.
The NHL flirted with Houston on multiple occasions. It just at the last minute, money didn't come up. So that's the only reason why they didn't move the team there. So the NHL has played around with the idea of going to Houston and almost did, but after a few failed attempts of getting a team in Houston, eventually when the opportunity came to move the North Stars to Dallas, they took that. So I don't think in a big state like Texas, I definitely think the NHL would probably be more keen to go there than anything else. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if the NHL wants to have to do another realignment. So I think really if they're going to move the team, I think a Western market is where they're going to move it. I don't think they want to move it back east because then
that puts Houston at another advantage because then you don't really have to do that. And you have not only an interdivision rivalry, but you have an interstate rivalry between the Stars and potentially the Coyotes if that's where they decide to go. And you can still keep the name and the uniforms.
True, absolutely. And also the Arrows did come back, too, for a period of time as a very successful AHL franchise, and then they were rebranded as the Texas Stars. But, again, all of that being said, Houston has a bit of a history with it, so it's not out of the realm of possibility of maybe move a team to Houston, possibly on that one. Another one that was said was Salt Lake City, which I'm not necessarily against. Salt Lake City might be an interesting avenue to go take a look at, see if maybe there'd be interest in a hockey team out there. One city in California would be interesting because they have a history of it as well. It's not up north. It's still down south. San Diego. San Diego does have a history with hockey with the San Diego Gulls and such. Might not be a bad option. I know they have an arena there, but the question is the arena NHL sized? That's the only question mark that would prevent them from moving.
They don't do a lot of draw there.
That's what she said.
True.
She has said that. But, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the San Diego Gulls, they don't exactly do a huge draw. The San Diego area is a lot of Latino and Latina population, and not exactly a huge hockey fan base down there. I know there's quite a bit from the Anaheim Ducks being their AHL affiliate, but I know they don't do a huge draw. But then again, that's also the AHL versus the NHL, so you put an NHL team down there, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more of a draw than the AHL. So,
and if you get a decent enough organization, it can't be any worse than the experiment win in Arizona. It cannot possibly get that bad, if you get the right people in that organization early.
True, but, and like I said, the draw's not there for the AHL team, but again, you put an NHL team in there, I'm sure there probably could be, and then you have another potential rivalry because San Diego is not exactly far from LA and Anaheim. So that could create another rivalry between those three. And then, again, you go to San Francisco, you create a rivalry between them and San Francisco. Or San Jose, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of a big state. You have so many options to fill in if you have to. I mean, another option you could go with Portland. I know you just moved a team in Seattle. However, though, you could create a real serious regional rivalry by going to Portland and then have almost a three-way rivalry because you got Vancouver, you got Seattle, you got Portland, even four because you can throw in San Jose in there, and then there's four straight real close rivals up in the northern part of California, Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia. So that's an option for them to go along with right there. And they have had AHL teams there, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. The only other place I could think of, and as for the possibility of moving to a Canadian city, that I'm not so sure about because Bettman is not as keen on moving to Canada as he is to moving into another American market, primarily for financial reasons, monetary reasons. So because of Canadian dollar having history of fluctuation, and that's what killed a lot of original Quebec being a team that got sacrificed because of that reason. Winnipeg was another team that suffered financially because they changed from the Canadian dollar to the American dollar, and that killed them. But I don't know. And if I had to say, if they would move to a Canadian city, the best I could think of would be maybe moving a team to either Saskatoon. That's the only thing I can think of. I know they tried to get the Blues and failed way back in the day. But I'm not as keen on seeing I don't think we'll see another Canadian team come into the league.
I mean, I think you will. I think you will in time because you got teams that are going in on all these expansions and have had histories of trying to get expansion teams. So I think you do eventually see another Canadian team. It's just a matter of when. And I think Bettman's eventually going to cave because, let's be real, we need more Canadian teams. We do.
True.
We do.
It's just it's interesting, but yeah, in my opinion, now John does say, if you're talking a new city, Orlando, they have a minor league team with Solar Bears and an arena, no state income tax. That may actually, financially wise, might sound very attractive to the NHL. But at the same time, though, I don't know if I think they might be worried that may kill a little bit of the drive for the Panthers. So they might not go that route just because they don't want to cut anything out of the Panthers market and draw, because the Panthers already had a hard time drawing as it is. So I don't know. To me, I feel like that might be their reason for not doing that, because Tampa's fine, but the Panthers are a question. So they may not want to put a third team there. That's my only reasoning for thinking that.
Well, I mean, with the Panthers, I think it's just all about their arena location. That's really their biggest issue. And you're in Sunrise, Florida.
Yeah.
Maybe, 15 minutes from Miami, 20 minutes from Miami?
Yeah, you're not.
If you're in Miami, I think you kind of have a little bit more of a draw. But, I mean, to me, the Florida Panthers suffer a little bit for a couple different reasons. Arena locations are probably their biggest one, and two, they haven't been relevant in a very long time. And now you're starting to finally see them put the pieces together, and they're going to start, really becoming a really solid franchise, a really good playoff contender, which they are now. And I think they got better this offseason. So I definitely think with a healthy defense and a very stud goaltender in Spencer Knight, you see them make a run. So I think they're definitely going to, start getting some pull to go their way. They'll definitely make some money. Again, I think their biggest issue, location of the arena. I think if you go to another city outside of Sunrise, more populated city, yeah, I definitely think they could definitely do better.
All right, then. John saying Panthers are a 4-hour trip from Orlando. And he also said road trip.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Road trip, baby.
To Orlando to go see
down.
that new NHL team.
We'll pick you up on the way, B-Dales.
We'll go see the Flyers
right now. We'll swing through North Carolina. We'll grab you.
Yeah. We'll go see the Flyers go take on the Orlando Solar Bears, now an NHL team. Hopefully the Flyers will kick their ass. But anyway.
Sorry, Prez, I forgot to mention Carter Verhage.
Oh yeah, good point. That is a bit of a sin on
I do
your part
apologize,
there.
Prez. I didn't mean to insult your son. I said they had a bright future. You better stop it.
Oh, and John say, but honestly, I want Quebec for a road trip. That's an interesting option to go there. I have always wanted to, and I mean, to Sam Squash did ask earlier, they have a rink built, which they still have the Colisée. Colisée still there. They didn't get rid of it. Now, the question is, would they update it and upgrade it in order for it to fit the NHL size? Because that was one of the things that was a big issue with why the Nordiques couldn't stick around, was there wasn't the proper size, quote unquote, for an NHL arena, because they wanted luxury suites and all that shit added in. So hence why you don't have arenas like the Spectrum anymore. Also, to be fair, the Spectrum was getting somewhat outdated by the time the first Union Center came in. So, which is now the Wells Fargo Center today. But it still should be called the FU Center. God, it was such a fitting name for that arena. Anyway. And the Panthers of the Lightning's bitch. Yeah, right now they definitely are, and the playoff series proved it. But
No lies detected.
None whatsoever.
So it's interesting to talk about possible relocation opportunities for Arizona. I mean, honestly, this is a perfect example of, the NHL, they tried. If it does get down to it where they wind up moving, the NHL, the way you look at it is like, well, we tried. And then you can't say they didn't. They really fucking tried to make the Coyotes work out there, and it just wasn't working. But that goes with poor ownership, poor running of an organization. Maybe you had a decent team for a period of time in the 90s that was capable of making a lower seed out of a 1-8 system. And then in the 2010s, you had a brief period of success with the 2012 season in particular. But those are some very small bright spots. And it's very, very hard to build any kind of fan base on that. Prism talked about Atlanta earlier. The reason why the Flames didn't work out and the reason why the Thrashers didn't work out was pretty much the exact same reason of what we're talking about here. Poor ownership, really bad play on the ice, being a last-place team almost every year. The Thrashers only had one good year when they won their division and got swept right out of the playoffs by the Rangers. And that was the only highlight season for them. And then on top of that as well, for the Flames, once they started getting good, they moved to Calgary. So, that's what happens.
I mean, Atlanta, we could potentially just see the Coyotes move to a different city in the same state. So, I mean, let's be real. Like there are certain markets where you shouldn't have an NHL team, and Atlanta's failed twice. And a lot of Arizona's failures, I think, does come from lack of ownership and an inability to put together a decent front office to where they can start bringing in talent. And they draft well. Like I think they draft well. They have some talent there, but you had Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Connor Garland, I believe, was drafted by the Coyotes. He's a solid player. I mean, let's look back. Let's look back a little bit further. Not necessarily guys that they drafted, but guys that they've had on in the organization. You had Jeremy Roenick for a while. You had Cliff Ronning. You had Nikolai Happy-Bolin. I know you had Ed Jovanovski more towards the end of his career, but still enough to be an impact player on the defensive side.
Shane Doan.
Shane Doan, yeah, absolutely. And then you had Ilya Bryzgalov at his best.
True, at his best starting.
I mean, Arizona's has some good players throughout their tenure, but they can't seem to just put it together at the right time. And now with everything that they're going through, lack of ownership, terrible front office, They got shafted on that Oliver Ekman-Larsson deal. Oh, that was a terrible trade.
Great
And
for
now they're at the
Vancouver.
point where their salary cap is so low that they have to take on guys who aren't even playing anymore to get back to the cap floor.
Yeah. Flyers traded them Chris Pronger's contract. The Red Wings traded them Datsuk's contract.
Dude, if you go back to 2007 and you have the roster they have right now, they're a Stanley Cup contender because you have Pronger, you have Datsuk, you have Marian Hossa, you have whose contract did they just take? They took another big one. It's just frustrating because there's really nobody there that's a boss. You know what I mean? Like nobody's really running that organization, and they're suffering from it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we saw John Chaika. He quit the team literally right before the bubble started, and it turns out maybe Chaika really was one of the worst of the GMs. That's saying something if he was one of the worst, because apparently all this shit came out that apparently he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And then on top of that as well, it was his fault and why they got penalized and why they weren't in the first round, why they had to trade back into it this year because he held those combines before they were not supposed to, and then they got penalized for it. It's like, how the hell do you not know a basic rule of that's just GM one-on-one? Don't hold combines when the NHL tells you not to. You really think you're not going to get penalized for it? What the fuck? Like, seriously.
It's a frustrating organization that could very well be a very good, and let's be real, they've had some very good teams to the point where they could have been a Stanley Cup contender. They could have been a Stanley Cup champion at this point. They've had talent. I think it's everything above the roster, everything above the players. That's the biggest issue with the Arizona Coyotes and why they're in the situation that they're in right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame, really, to see an organization that was going to uncharted territory. To be fair, though, the Jets were not well ran either, by the way, in case anyone was wondering, well, they should just go back to – they should have just stayed in Winnipeg. It's like, to be fair, the current Winnipeg Jets were much better run than the old Winnipeg Jets. The old Winnipeg Jets were an absolutely horribly ran organization from the moment they stepped foot in the NHL. They were great in the WHA, then they lost all their players. And then they never got back to prominence until about ready. It was time to move.
So let me ask you guys a question here. What do you think the odds are that Arizona just winds up just folding up the organization and wiping their hands clean from it?
So you're thinking a contraction, basically, is what you're talking about.
And then you get the fun of expanding one more time instead of moving one organization to another city.
It's a possibility. I mean, could I see it happening, especially if there's money concerns that we're not even privy to, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, then that would make it a little more likely. Based on what they've had to say, I'd say the odds are low. I'd give it like 10% because they're really committed to finding a new building in Arizona first and foremost. And then you have other teams that, have been, other cities that have been hungry for, having an expansion team or having a team come back to their city. They'll woo them with money. And it's, you know what I mean? So, maybe even, ameliorating some of those concerns.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm thinking, especially the second half of what you were saying, Rob, is the relocation, because there are cities that are hungry. John, what's up, my brother?
What's up, John?
Teams like Quebec, Hartford wants another team back. Hamilton probably wants a team. So there's cities out there that want them.
Now, here's the thing, though. If, say, Quebec and Hartford get the nod and they're going to do a realignment, they're going to move a team back west and move them to the east. Here's the thing. The Hurricanes own the Whalers, and Colorado owns the Nordiques. So then you run into the issue of, okay, do they then ask the other NHL team, can we purchase the name from you? And then
they did with Atlanta, between Atlanta and Winnipeg, which is to make a whole new franchise. if
True.
that's the case, because they've already done it before. But I don't necessarily think if you move Arizona to Hartford or Quebec, you're going to go right for, Hartford has to be the Whalers, no doubt. If we're going to Quebec, we have to be the Nordiques. They could just be going for a whole brand new start.
True.
Something to think about, that's all.
True, and in a way, I think that might be a good thing to do, because even though, yeah, you're going to get those comparisons. Look, the Winnipeg Jets came back. I mean, to be fair, there wasn't really, I guess, a trademark on that name, so they were able to do that. But they're still the new Winnipeg Jets. No one's saying they're the old ones and this is the newer team, because the old Winnipeg Jets are tied to this Coyotes team that we're talking about, where this is a whole new organization that came in after Atlanta failed. They're more tied to the Thrashers than anything else. So yeah, I hear you on that one. I do hear you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways around it, man. Like I said, with Winnipeg going back there, getting the Jets name, they're not, the Winnipeg Jets. They're a different Winnipeg Jets. They're just a whole different organization. You know what I mean? So you could potentially do that again in Hartford or Quebec. Like, there's ways around it.
It is a shame.
It's just one of those things where you don't have to necessarily, because you're going to go to that city, have to be tied to that name again.
True. It is a shame, though, because if that team did get the nod to go back to Quebec, when they had that updated looking Nordiques logo with the wolf on it, and they had that dark blue color with the black and everything, it's a shame that jersey never was the official thing because they moved to Colorado. Like, that actually was a pretty cool looking jersey. That would have been nice to see on an NHL team back in the day, especially back in the 90s. That would have fit in perfectly for them. But
Squad.
John's saying San Antonio is a great place for a hockey team. The AHL team there does pretty good. San Antonio, Texas, another opportunity to move to another Western spot. John saying, great show, boys, as usual. See you all Tuesday night. See you, John. We'll see you
Have a good night, John.
On Tuesday night. That is a reminder, by the way, folks. 8 o'clock Tuesday night next week. From this point forward, that will be the regular time for the Hockey Happy Hour.
8 o'clock.
We get a little more live reactions once the season starts, and a little closer to what the actual happy hour time is, which is always the premise of the show. Drink with us, talk some hockey. Love it.
Yeah, if you're drinking, let us know what you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is good. I like this one.
Sam Scotch Pinkful saying the Hamilton unskilled laborers is good for an NHL franchise. Oh my god, that's perfect.
That's good. I like
Nah,
that.
Trent's already got the rights to that name. Sorry, buddy. Oh no, that's the Trenton Titans. My bad. I got it mixed up.
There's a name that it would be cool to see in the NHL, the Titans. I think that wouldn't be a bad option to see that. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to use the logo that the Trenton Titans are able to. I wouldn't want them to use it anyway. But
The Trent Mix World Takes Bridge? Oh, it's sweet, man.
Yeah.
I got a jersey.
They tried to
It's like
rebrand.
it's a shirt jersey. It doesn't really count.
True. Yeah. But still, they tried to rebrand as the Devils too, and everybody got so pissed. I was like, we want the Titans back. Fuck your Devils. I'm like, yeah, bring the fucking Titans back. Fuck the Devils.
Oh,
Just in
Raska, you would want a guy like Franz Nielsen on your team.
Ross,
So washed
I
up.
want to know what you think, man. Are the Coyotes staying in Arizona? What's the deal? In case you're just joining that. No, you were here before. You know the scoop. I want to know your opinion, man.
Prism. I'm smoking on my first dab pen, as the kids call it, and I'm zoned out.
My man.
Are you still at least locked in on us right there, where you're zoned out, but you're still involved in the conversation? That's what I want to know.
By the way, guys, for anyone out there that sees that little logo that's on the side of Prism's name, that is because Prism is an A2D member, which is a $9.99 a month membership. But the perks are very awesome here, because you can get members-only streams, shout-outs, weekly sports picks from the Money Pop podcast. Those guys know what they're talking about. So trust me, you'll make a good, nice chunk of change listening to those boys.
You'll make your money back.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell, you'll get paid to be a member, if anything. So definitely a lot of great benefits on that one. And we can have you guys on the stream with us. We had Prism on with us once. We're looking forward to bringing them on again. And we're looking forward to bringing on any A2D member that wants to come on to the show. Trust me, we would love to have you guys here in person come talking to us because we love you guys. We love talking to you guys. But it's awesome to see you guys right here on the screen with us. That's pretty badass.
Listen,
That's what I'm talking about, Rosca. What a great... Where did we just have an outdoor game at? Lake Tahoe. That's a great suggestion.
Interesting.
Wouldn't be too far removed, right?
I don't think so.
Lake Tahoe, that's...
I mean, that's on the border of California and Nevada?
I think so. I don't know.
They'd have to compete with the Knights. That may be a little bit of a painful thing to do. Like, hey, have fun trying to outdraw the Knights. Good luck with that one, shithead.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point, Matty.
Come on, Joey. Why you gotta take your shots? Joey taking shots.
At least they're not the Mighty Ducks anymore. You know, Ducks
Hey,
is
listen,
cool.
they had a great stretch from 2007 to 2015.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Playoffs
true.
every year, at least the second Western Conference Finals, one Stanley Cup championship in that run. They suck right now. Yeah, they suck right now. Absolutely. So,
I mean, hell,
they're going to bounce back in another 2 years. I think another year or two they'll be back in the playoffs. They need to see what they have in the farm system there, and I don't say this often. I agree with Rosca saying last week that they need to have a hot start, and if they have a hot start, I think they could be okay. But you got to see what you got as far as your prospects go. And I think they got some good ones. They did sign their top three, first three picks from this previous year's draft. So all three of them are locked up on the ELC. So you might see Mason McTavish a little sooner than later.
all right, guys. So, by the way, I have a suggestion for you, Brian, on your wall. What you should do, piggybacking off
I
this
know what I'm
Joey
going to do. I
comment,
just need to get my jerseys down here.
even better, you should get one of those cup banners for the Ducks and put it back there.
I think I have one somewhere.
You do? Well, you should
I think
put
so.
you should put it behind you. So that way it's a constant reminder that
Right.
the Ducks won in
Join the Banner
2007.
Club. Join the Banner Club. I can't put a Stanley Cup up, but I think there's one in there somewhere.
I got to put my Phillies one up. I think that's what I'll do. I'll put
There
like
you
my
go.
Phillies one off to one side. Put maybe one of my jerseys up on the what what
The hockey show. That's my argument. Sure.
Yeah. You know, that's a valid point. It is a hockey show. Maybe I'll put my Korea jersey on one side and my Solana jersey on the other.
There you go. That's perfect.
And just fuck Lindros in the middle. There you go.
I'll spray paint that on the wall. I'll have to pay
Yeah.
for that afterwards. That'll come out on my security deposit when the lease is up.
But you have to put Lindros's name in orange and then put the Sucks in the black, so that way it's perfectly categorized.
Right?
He should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh god. Anyway, so gentlemen, the whole situation in Arizona, we'll obviously be keeping tabs on that as the season goes along. If any updates come along, which we may not really hear anything about it until pretty much halfway through the season and being over. For now, if anything major happens, of course we're going to bring it up here and we'll talk about it. But who knows? We may very well be seeing the end of the Arizona Coyotes. Maybe. But we'll put an asterisk next to it until further notice. Anyway, so
I mean, like I said earlier, and this is the last thing I want to say before we move on, is we could see him leave Arizona. We may not. So we'll see what happens.
this may become more of a shit show than the Jack Eichel situation, which no update on that, by the way. That was not a segue.
I keep telling everybody he's not going to get traded.
He
He
still
hasn't
has,
gotten moved yet. He's not going to get moved.
and he has
He
to
had a
gotten,
prime opportunity to move him at the draft, and I think they could have gotten a haul for him.
They could have. They could have. Plus, also on top of that, too, he hasn't even had his surgery yet. And honestly, I said this last week, he may very well use that as an excuse to say fuck you to the Sabres and he sit out a season. I mean, it's possible. If he hasn't gotten the surgery, he'd be like, I haven't gotten my surgery. I can't play. Tough
Well, I
shit.
mean, that's all in Buffalo. That's got nothing to do with Eichel. I think Eichel wants it. The Sabres are saying no. And I kind of don't blame the Sabres because they're saying that he may not even, if he does have the surgery, he may not be the same player that he was.
Yeah, I heard that it's an experimental surgery. So it's, yeah. It's a sticky situation over there. But, gentlemen, let me ask you all a question. As for the Flyers right now, when you look at this team, just to give us no real off-season updates, there hasn't been any movement on Travis Sanheim. That hasn't happened yet. So, guys, what are you feeling here? Like, out of the Flyers you're really looking forward to see, since the team has gotten a whole makeover for the most part. There are still some players sticking around, but there's a lot of new ones. Give me 5 guys right now you're really looking forward to seeing take this chance and take a full 82. Who are you looking forward most to seeing this year in an orange and black jersey?
My one guy that I'm looking forward to seeing is Ryan Ellis. Really going to be taking over as the captain of the defense. He's going to be playing that first pairing line with TK. With Ivan Provorov, and I think his leadership ability is going to be huge, and his leadership ability, his ability to keep things, calm, cool, and collected, and his defensive IQ is just off the charts. He does play physical game, and just his ability to take control as the leader in the back is going to be huge for this team moving forward. And you bring in 3 other guys that are going to make an impact on this team as well. But I think Ryan Ellis's impact is going to be key into this team being successful moving forward into the season.
Ted was chiming in. He's looking forward to seeing Ellis, but he was saying, no way, dude, you got him taken over for Provy?
Mm-hmm. I think he's the mentor to Provy. I think Provy eventually takes over. I don't think he finishes his contract as a Flyer, but I think over the next couple of years, it's Ryan Ellis's defense. I mean, it's going to be him and Provy on the first pairing, and Provy has proven that he still needs to grow and mature a little bit and grow into his leadership role. And until that point, it's Ryan Ellis. It's going to be his defense.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I mean, I question that, Provy's been here, whereas Ellis is coming in. So I think maybe the two will work in tandem there, to a degree. But I think that's what's going to be most beneficial for both players and the overall defense. So I agree with you, Brian. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, one of the players that I'm very much looking forward to see, I'm actually really looking forward to see how Cam Atkinson fits on this team. And because, obviously, we traded Jake back to Columbus for him. So, and listen, I had my love-hate relationship with Jake. Most Flyers fans did. However, Jake did contribute. Can't deny that. He had 10 years. He was a productive player. Sure, he pissed me off plenty of times. But, man, there were plenty of times where I was like, Jake the Snake, yes. Shame I won't be able to say that anymore. But anyway, I am interested to see how Cam Atkinson fits coming in from that deal. So I look forward to seeing him perform and perform well for the Philadelphia Flyers because I think he will. I'm very intrigued to see how he performs in the orange and black.
That's a good one. I like that. I think he'll fit in pretty well, especially with two of his best friends.
Yeah,
in the organization as well.
Yeah, true.
All right, Ralph, who you got?
I'm going to lump 3 players here together and, get 3 off the list right off the bat. And I'm just looking forward to the development of Wade Allison, Morgan Frost, and Cam York. They're about to hit up Flyers development camp, I believe August 28th. Should run into September there down in Voorhees. So I want to see how they come back from the break, how they make that overall next step within training camp and into the season, because they're all going to play to a varying degree. I mean, we talked about Cam York potentially starting the year with the Phantoms to get those upper, top pairing minutes, but and the other two, depending on the degree or what the right fit will be line mate wise, I could expect both Wade Allison and Frosty, have an effect on this team right away. So that's what I'm most looking forward to, is just where their game's at and where it goes from here.
Yeah, I like the Wade Allison and the Cam York. I like that. I like seeing those because we all immediately were like, oh, this Wade Allison kid, man, he's got no fucking fear. This guy's just going and friggin' hell bent for leather. He does not care. Like, that's the kind of passion we like to see on a Flyers team. So, yeah, I'm totally down with that. And I would like to see Cam York get some opportunities and get some minutes in an orange and black jersey, even if it's just a few handful of games this year. Nothing crazy or drastic, and spends more time over in Lehigh Valley getting, more season.
Yeah, he'll bounce back and forth, I think. Yep.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the taxi squad. Whatever, he just needs to play every day. He needs to spend as much time on the ice as he can get. I think he's a future top pairing guy in the NHL. So if he can get top pairing lines in Lehigh versus just, because most of their pairing guys are going to get like 20 minutes ice time.
Probably.
If that, he needs to be on the ice. He needs to develop a little bit. So if he doesn't earn a top 4 spot, I don't think he's worth putting on the Flyers roster. I think it's better to throw him down in Lehigh for another year, so he gets those top minutes. So he gets on the ice and he keeps, getting 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes a game. But as for Wade Allison, I'm very excited about this kid. He has a nose for the net. The kid is a dog. And he puts himself in so many good scoring positions. He may not always score. He needs to work on his touch a little bit, but he could be a potential 20, 25, maybe 30 goal scorer on the right line with the right combination of guys. And it's something the Flyers desperately need. And I love Wade Allison. I think he deserves a shot on the roster this year. And from the jump, we'll see what he's got. Let him be the dog he is, and he's hungry, and you can see in his play. Morgan Frost, he just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah. Joey.
How's that shoulder respond coming back, too? That's another big question mark, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joey, yes, it is a full 82 this year. So that is the goal for the season, is to get a full 82 in.
Yep. So everything's going to be back to normal divisions, normal scheduling, normal 82-game schedule.
Yes, we went from one annoying division back to our regular annoying division.
A little condensed with the Olympic break, but we've seen that. That's still pretty standard. That's happened before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, other player I would like to see, I'm going to throw Carter Hart out there because I want to see him have a monster season after. Yeah, he had a rough go of it this past one, but you know what? I want to see him go in there and just slam doors left and right and frustrate teams. Not only will we have a stronger defense to deal with to even get shots down on him, but I want him to just gobble the puck up and make players who are usually goal scorers just smack their sticks on the board in frustration of just, God damn it, I can't score on this kid. Be like, yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see some of the best players in our division and in other divisions as well be so frustrated that they will think twice before even taking a shot. That's what I'm talking about. That's the Carter Hart I want to see.
So the Carter Hart I want to see doesn't necessarily need to have a monster year. I need to see him have a better year than last year. Get back to the fundamentals. Get back to keeping the head clear. Back to smooth, side to side, covering post to post. Being able to read the plays a little bit better. Get himself in better position. Get back to the fundamentals of playing goaltender. Doesn't necessarily need to be a guy who's going to win every game. But if you give up a couple goals here and there, it is what it is. You're an NHL goaltender. You're not going to shut him out every game. But get back to the fundamentals. Get back to, putting yourself in good position, reading plays. Just have a better year. Just take the step-by-step process to get back to where you were. Doesn't have to happen overnight. Just do the little things right.
Absolutely.
All right, then. And final couple players for me. I want to see Kevin Hayes have a really strong year after having his injury. I'd be like, all right, Hayes, paying you all that fucking money. Fucking prove it. Let's go. I'll give you a pass for the past season. Should have gotten the surgery, but I'll let it go. Let's see it now. Let's see what you got. You had a phenomenal year the first year. Let's see you bring some of that back. Let's see you bring some of that magic back, whether it be an OT goal here or there, whether it be you scoring a goal when we need one, whether it be you, easing the tension on the bench by, chirping. I don't care. At the end of the day, I want to see the Kevin Hayes that we're paying a lot of money for that we saw the first season, not last year.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I mean, I still think he did a lot of things well last year, despite having the hernia. But for some guys, and this goes to everywhere. I work with guys over at the hockey store before I moved that he suffers with the hernia. He hasn't had the surgery. One of my really good friends, who I worked at one of the restaurants with that I've been friends with for a very long time, has a hernia and never got it fixed. And some of these guys, they get the hernia and they just don't think it's that serious, and they just don't rush to get it fixed because, there's days where it's probably bothering you, and then there's days where it just doesn't. So, if you're going down a stretch where it's not bothering you, it's kind of unnecessary to have the surgery until the off season. You know what I mean? So, I kind of don't blame him. I don't think it was very selfish to not have the surgery, but I'm with you. I like to see him get back to where he was his first year as a Flyer. Being that guy who's going to make you laugh on the bench. He's going to keep things light. He's going to have his fun. And now he's got, again, I said the same thing about Cam. I'm going to say the same thing about Kevin Hayes. He's got two of his buddies with him. So these are guys that know how to keep things light, keep them going. Help them forget about a bad shift or whatever. Continue to be the leaders that they are, and just have some fun out there on the ice.
Yeah, he's going to be hamming it up with the boys, no doubt about it. And I'm sure feeling well. See, that's the thing. He looked so down last year, and it wasn't feeling well, so he wasn't really occupying that role of keeping the locker room loose. And expect to see that, obviously feeling healthy.
Yeah, loosey goosey. That's the way you want to be.
I got one more for you. So I'm not necessarily expecting to see him on the roster this year. But one guy I can't wait to see during camp is Tyson Forrester. The confidence that this kid plays with is unreal. He even says confidence is a key to my game. And, just watching some of his highlight reels from the Phantoms from last year, this kid is everything that they said he was in the draft. He's a shooter. He's got that shoot first mentality, which is great. He does have a heavy shot, which is good because the Flyers need it. They need to figure out ways to score goals. And, if he is everything that he says he is, and from what I've seen he is, he's going to be something special for the Flyers, and he's going to be your 30, 35 goal scorer because of that heavy slap shot that he does have. And his wrist shot's not bad either. His wrist shot's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's a good choice, man. When you've been talking him up since the Flyers drafted him, and there's a good reason for it. This kid seems like he's no lie. Seems like he's got what it takes to be a strong NHL player. And have some good goal scoring potential.
And like Zayd Wisdom, he's doing everything in his power to get to the NHL as fast as he can.
True. Prism saying, I want to see Risto step up and turn heads sideways, keeping Carter's line of sight clean. Good choice on the Risto there. Definitely would like to see him show that those numbers are just bullshit. And he also said, and by sideways, I mean smashing people. And then finally for me, one other player I want to see Provorov taking the lessons from Ellis, and I want to see his game really improve. I feel like he had a lot put on him last year, and he had not to say he wasn't bad. He just had a lot put on him and he didn't have Niski there to keep him, relax, kid, relax. So now it's one of those where he's got Ellis. It's like, all right, I want to see him take more steps forward. more in the same vein of what you were saying, Rob, because it's like we know what Provy is. We know what Provy's capable of. It's just let's see him learn from Ellis. And Bri was saying it earlier, Ellis being the leader of the D, Provy eventually being the next leader of the D.
Yep, absolutely.
Certainly. My last one, I got a soundbite here for it. Let's see if this works.
All right.
You hear everybody here saying CM Punk.
That's who I want to see, motherfucker. No.
Just you hear it, the music kick on, and he comes out of the tunnel in the uniform. You're like, oh my god, it's CM Punk.
Is he your cult of personality in the Flyers opening day?
He's the only one that comes out too.
I hear it's not going to be that.
Oh,
Believe it or not, it's something about rights or something like that. And I can see that, you know what I mean? Like AEW had to fork up for the rights for Wild thing, which I get it that the crowd's going to chant to it, but it's so awful. It's awful. Anyway, hockey show. Back to hockey. You know who I'm going to say here, boys. I don't think I need to say much, but who I'm most excited to see and who's going to be a lot of fun, Joel Farabee.
Mm-hmm.
Farabee, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. After the year that he had this past season, and it was in a shortened season too. Imagine what he could do in a full 82, and if he takes the steps forward like he did last year.
Yes,
he's there's a reason he was the number one pick a couple years ago.
See,
so
absolutely.
I'm stoked for him. I think he's going to be a very fun player to watch. And one of the things we noticed in his rookie year with the Flyers is that he does the little things right. He's not afraid to go chase a puck. He's not afraid to bang bodies in the corner to dig for a puck that's being tied up. So he does the intangibles right. And a lot of the times, especially last year, because of his hard work along the boards, he's been rewarded with a few goals. So you can't sit here and say that he doesn't earn his goals, because he definitely does. And his wrist shot has come a long way from his rookie year in the span of maybe a year and a half, Mm-hmm. So, that's a great one, Rob. I think Farabee's going to be a huge one.
All right, then. And before we say a good night, we're going to close up shop early. A little light show today for our final farewell on Thursday before we head back to Tuesdays, back where it originally used to be back in the day. But, one last player, Claude Giroux. I just want to take in good moments with him as long as we still have him. His contract's going to be up come the end of this season. I know we'll probably re-sign to a smaller one, but for now, anytime he scores and anytime he gets a big clutch moment, I want to take those moments in, because it's like, you don't know how much longer you're going to have Giroux at a high level or a productive level. You know what I mean? So take those in while you still have it, because you're getting to that point in his career. Crosby's having his struggles, and they're around the same age. So
the talent is fleeting, just like porn girls on OnlyFans. They're fleeting.
Yeah.
Wow. So
in case you don't know what I'm talking about, OnlyFans came out and said that there's going to be no more nudity and pornographic content allowed as they go for different a more wholesome look and more investors or whatnot. A lot of people hitting the unemployment line,
I thought that was a joke, to be completely honest.
No, it's for real. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people that are going to be out of a job. They're not even making any money anymore.
Yeah. So
I actually personally know somebody who's actually on OnlyFans and does all that kind of stuff, so I don't know what she's going to do.
Ooh. Oh, hopefully she'll figure out something. Good luck to her on that. But let's see here, gentlemen, before we say a good night,
it's a friend of yours. I would be respectful. I got like 30 million comments rolling in my head right now.
She's not really a friend of mine. I used to work with her, and I haven't talked to her since she moved. She actually lives in North Carolina.
If she's looking for employment, Daddy's got a job for her. All right.
Yeah, she used to work with me up in Fleming's, and then she moved down here. She's actually over in Asheville.
Okay.
And Yeah, she may be in a little bit of trouble. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Prism say Farabee, 30-plus goals. Brian can have the BJ by whoever was supposed to give it. I found a loophole to my Farabee prediction from last week.
Oh, yeah.
And the worst part is I think we said Greg.
Yes, it was Greg. That's what it was. Yup. Enjoy, Brian. Ted FX also saying G is that one Flyer who cannot win a cup with another team. He has to do it here. I agree.
Yeah, Ted.
Yeah. G has to win it here, damn it. All right. So to finish up,
I think he will. There's some. I think this team's got an extremely bright future ahead of them. I think they got some really good talent in place.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, it's time. Send off this show properly. We will read from the Flyers tone here. And we have done this for a few weeks. We had a couple of previews, and then last week we were introducing it for the off-season since we have some extra time at the end of shows. So the numbers that we have picked so far, 9, 48, and 88. Brian, it is your turn, my man. What number you got? 1 through 100, except those 3.
Oh, God, please let this be a short one. Let's go with number 10.
Number 10. All right, so sticking close
I'm just
to home.
tired because I know if I listen to Matt read this, I'm going to fall asleep on the couch. I'm going to totally pull the Noah.
It's a good bedtime story. Tuck up, get your pillow, get tucked in. We're gonna put you to beddy by. No.
All right, gentlemen, here we are. So number 10, building the bullies. Ed Snyder never played hockey, but even he could see what was happening to his team in the first 2 seasons, which ended in the first-round playoff losses to the St. Louis Blues. His players were getting their tails kicked. They were. We played St. Louis, and they had the Plager brothers, Barkley and Bob and Noel Picard, and these guys were tough fighters, Snyder said. We had all these little French guys. Sorry, that's pretty funny. Those little French guys helped the Flyers make the playoffs for the first 2 seasons, but that wasn't going to be good enough, when teams like St. Louis could just bludgeon them. Teams had in those days what they called a policeman, Snyder said. When Toronto's John Ferguson takes on Simon Nollet, Simon Nollet didn't do bad in that fight, but he should have gotten the hell beat out of him. He was so scared, but when I see those kinds of things, I think, who said there can only be one policeman? Which is a famous quote, by the way, from Ed Snyder.
Yes, it is.
Snyder didn't just go out and get his own policeman. He got a whole precinct. We might not be able to skate with these guys. We may not have the talent the original 6 teams have, but we built our team with one thing. We can be as tough as anybody else. Snyder recalled, let's just go out and get tough guys, and nobody is going to intimidate or beat up our players ever again. Snyder started his plan at the 1969 NHL draft. In the second round, Philadelphia chose Bobby Clarke, the greatest Flyer that ever lived, a dynamic center from Flin Flon, Manitoba, who had 3 straight seasons of 50 goals and 130 points and 120 penalty minutes. Imagine seeing a player like that today. In the 5th round, they picked the 6th. Yeah. Good point. In the 5th round, they picked a 6'1", 190-pound winger from Waldheim, Saskatchewan, named Dave Schultz. 1 round later, they took another rough-and-tumble winger, Don Big Bert Selesky. Keith Allen replaced Bud Pohl as GM in 1970 and set out to add professionalism and toughness to the defense. Allen knew of a defenseman toiling with the Hershey Bears, the Bruins minor league affiliate. Barry Ashby, who had missed the 1966-67 season following back surgery, was buried in the Bruins organization. Allen, in his second trade as GM, sent Darrell Edistrand and Larry McKillop to Boston for Ashby. Good, Ashby's a much better name. Ashby's willingness to play tough, a debilitating list of injuries rubbed off on his younger teammates and inspired them to push aside their own aches and pains. He was the strongest guy mentally that I ever seen, Clark said, in Walking Together Forever. In the 1970 draft, Bill Clement was taken in the 2nd round and Bob the Hound Kelly in the 3rd. Bill Clement should probably sound very familiar to everyone who watches. In 1971, Allen acquired Rick McLeish from the Boston Bruins, but the cost was high. Goaltender Bernie Parent. I cried when he left, Snyder said on January 31st of 1971 deal. He was a great guy, great player, but we didn't have any assets to build with. We would never win the cup in Parent's lifetime if we didn't make some moves. Allen continued to tinker during 1972, adding Cowboy Bill Flett and Ross Lonsberry in a 7-player trade with the Los Angeles Kings in January, drafting Bill Barber, Tom Bladden, the bomber, and Jimmy Watson in the first 3 rounds of the 1972 draft, and trading for Andre Moose DuPont in December. Leading the Flyers was a relatively unknown coach hired out of the New York Rangers organization named Fred Shiro. I didn't know Freddie well, but I followed his career, and he had won everywhere, Allen said in Full Spectrum. The only thing that made me wonder was why the Rangers GM, Emile Francis, had given other guys a chance to coach the Rangers and never given one to Freddie. But his record was so good, and I'd never heard anyone say a bad word about him. Shiro melded the attacking style of the 1970s Russians with a physical, take-no-prisoners approach. It was something that hadn't been seen before in the NHL. Clark, Barber, and McLeish scored the goals, and Schultz, Kelly, Selesky, and DuPont supplied the intimidation. The biggest piece of the puzzle, though, was still to come. Parent had left Toronto for the World Hockey Association for the 1972-73 season, but he quit playing when his paycheck stopped coming. Common problem with the WHA back then. He wanted back into the NHL, but not with the Leafs, who maintained his NHL rights. He wanted to come back to the Flyers, and Allen made it happen by sending the Maple Leafs goalie Doug Favell and a first-round pick. I think the Flyers won that deal. Just a little bit. That was yeah. That was a great move, Snyder said, of the May 15th, 1973 deal. That was the greatest moment to get him back. It was such a coup. 1 year and 4 days later, Clark, Parent, and the rest of the Flyers were Stanley Cup champions. And there you have it, folks. That was building the Broad Street Bullies. Some of the deals that went down to make that team what it was. Hopefully, as we've gone through so many deals here, maybe we're seeing the Flyers do that, building towards something. Maybe not this season, maybe future season, very close down the road, possibly. Hopefully we're speaking in the same terms here. Anyway,
You're
guys.
not building the Bullies anymore, but yeah.
But a Stanley Cup winner, at least.
What was interesting there was having the trade Bernie, right? But yet you bring him back when you finally get there or whatnot in terms of using, he said he didn't have the equity to be able to, to win, with him in there. So it's a very creative move. Maybe that's something that, this current squad could learn from too. Maybe if you have to dish a big name, maybe you can bring a big name back, that same big name back if you are on the precipice of a championship.
Yeah, very, very true. And Ted, to give you an answer, it is the 100 Things Flyers fans should know and do before they die, written by Adam Kimmelman, which there are other teams that have these. I know Calgary and Vancouver, for a fact, have them. I'm not sure how many other teams do, but the Flyers got this over at a sports store over near the Morristown Mall. So there you go. But anyway, that is the reading for tonight. We thank everybody for joining us. Prism, thank you, brother. Good night, as always. And, we wanted to know what the movie quote was. Rob, do you have the answer for us?
I asked him which one he was talking about. I'm a little lost there. If there, in the beginning, I was quoting a Ric Flair promo, and then I had quoted Wedding Crashers during this show. And there was
you did?
Third, yeah.
When?
Early for the poll question for agree or disagree. The Flyers off season. I go no excuses, play like a champion.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Rule number 76.
Love that movie.
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm a coxswain.
Dude, can you believe that they're making a second one?
They are.
What?
It's already in pre-production.
Yes. I always had in the back of my mind an idea that you do one years later, and you do it with where they're very little in it. It's other people.
Nope, it's going to be the original cast.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I mean that's the one plus side to it. The other plus, I don't like the writing team, and I don't like the director. They've done some terrible movies.
Who's the writing?
I don't know who the writers are. Terrible movies though. IMDb it when we're done. I have no faith in this movie.
Oh boy,
It is not going to touch the first one.
Sequels very rarely do.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That is true. But that is another story for another time. We thank you all for joining us once again for another edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. If you liked the show today, whether you are new or you are visiting once again to enjoy another, what would we call this? Another therapy session? No, I think torture session fits it a little bit better.
Well, it's not therapy now because we're in the off season.
That's true. So if you enjoy what you were listening to or watching, you can support us. And you can also support the entire A2D radio family and all the other shows. Bri, where can they go to do that?
You head on over to PhillyDrinkers.com. That's Philly Drinkers LLC. You got all kinds of great merch over there. We got all kinds of hoodies and crazy fun T-shirts. We have the Thrust the Process T-shirt out now. That's pretty popular. It's Joel Embiid on the floor, essentially dry humping the air, and the NBA logo, which is pretty awesome. You have all kinds of hoodies. You have you get the A2D zip up hoodie, which is the one I'm wearing now. All kinds of great stuff: hats, socks, blankets. Just head over to PhillyDrinkers.com. It's Philly Drinkers LLC. Go get your A2D merch there.
Absolutely. And for anybody out there who is struggling with any kind of illness, mentally wise, or any kind of addictions, it's a bad thing to have going on in your family or for yourself. And you can go to Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox and give them a call at 856-651-8117. Listen, we don't want to see your loved ones go through anything bad, and we don't want to see you go through anything bad. So no matter who it is, make the call, get the help that they or you need, because these are the kind of things that can send your life into a tailspin, and it could take years to recover it. So go get the help you need now before it becomes a really bad problem down the road. And on to Manscaped. Gentlemen, confidence is everything, as they say, and that is 110% fact. And here at A2D, we actually have Manscaped giving you 20% off your order, and all you got to do is use the A2D code and unlock that confidence. Also, by the way, they have a couple of gifts that they're willing to give out. They also have a Performance Package 4.0 with the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag available to you guys. So, got a whole bunch of goodies for you besides all the regular accoutrements to help, take care of what, Bri?
That junk funk.
Yeah. Make sure it's gone. Ladies don't like it.
No, they do not.
And for anybody out there suffering with any aches or pains, Brian knows his shoulder was bothering him, and he went to Specialized Physical Therapy. Dr. Paul Vidal, they took care of him, and they can take care of you there. Jerry Hill in Burlington, New Jersey, and you can make an appointment with them at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. They'll take care of you. You won't be feeling any more aches and pains anymore.
And just like we're the best in the business of what we do, they're the best in the business of what they do. They're a bunch of rock stars over Specialized Physical Therapy.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're planning on buying or selling a home, moving, as Bri did, or if you have a change in career or brokerage, Alan Foy is the guy to go to. eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820. Visit them on the web at alan.foy at exprealty.com. Listen, guys, it's a big step in life. You'll want to get that right. Go to him. You'll get it right then. And let's see here. Also, All Campus giving 20% off of everything in the store, including hats, shirts, and team cornhole sets for all subscribers. So get subscribed, so that way you get 20% off of All Campus OC. Like we said before, down in Ocean City, man, John Coyle, who we saw earlier tonight, Great guy, does a lot for A2D, and on top of that has a great store as well for all your team merch and everything. So you can rock your team colors with pride, and all you got to do is go to All Campus to get that taken care of.
And that's another perk of being an A2G member as well. If you read the thing down there, you get 20% off at All Campus if you are an A2D member.
And if you go there on Saturdays, you could be part of the live show that they do here on A2D Radio, which has been quite entertaining the past couple of weekends.
No,
the rant booth, it's nice.
The rant booth is ESPN's Billy Schwein, and then John is a huge participant on that as well. So head on over there. You know, if you're out getting your grilled cheese down there, no seats, just walk 3 blocks over on the boardwalk and go. You know, make a stop off at All Campus to go see our boy John.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It is absolutely 110% worth it. Trust me, do it. All right, and that will take care of that. And, of course, as always, just to bring them up so that way they close out for everybody on their screen, our show sponsor, Body Check Wellness, 25% off of your order. Listen, guys, get your life balanced out. That's the way you got to do it. With those products, they'll help you. 25% off of your order when you use the A2D code. But as for us, we are out. This is our final Thursday. Next week, we start our Exodus Tuesday at 8. It will be when we go live, and that will be normal from this point forward. So 8 o'clock Tuesday nights for next week onward for the Hockey Happy Hour. So we'll see you guys then.
It's 4 days away. 4 days until our next show. You don't have to wait 7 days right now.
Nice. That's a plus. And if you're anything like me and you never know what day of the week is anyway, just hit the notifications. It'll let you know when we're live.
True.
Oh, yeah.
So we thank you guys. We love you out there. Thank you for supporting us as always. And we will see you guys on Tuesday right here on A2DRadio.com. Peace and love, everyone.